Hello everybody! In the last weeks I have crafted some sailmaking tools and I have decided to make a small series of videos about it. In this first video I will show how I made this so-called seam rubber step by step out of this block of wood. In sailmaking, this tool is used to fold fabrics such as canvas or dacron. Alright, let's get started. I start with drawing some lines on the wood as guide for sawing with a Japanese saw. By sawing from both sides, the chance the end result has the intended shape is the highest. Besides that, the saw works better when you saw with the grain. If the saw will be sawing from left to right in this view, it would have the same effect as patting a dog from its back to its head, instead of the other way around. Both the dog and the wood don't like it. Here I am using the other side of the Japanese saw. It is intended for so-called cross-cutting, perpendicular to the fibers of the wood. And here we have it, the piece of wood where the seam rubber will be made from. On this side of the block there are still some planing to do, to make it nice and flat. I planed the other side as well, to make sure the block has an even thickness. Now it is time to determine the exact shape of the tool. Usually I first make a computer drawing before making something, but by cutting it out of a folded paper, it is easier to directly have an idea of the actual size and shape. Besides that, the paper form can be directly used as mold when I am happy with the shape. Here I glue the paper mold to the wood with some glue. It was not very warm in the workshop at that moment, so I used the heat gun to make it somewhat more liquid. Now it's ready for cutting. I am using an electric jigsaw to cut the rough form. The benefit of using this saw is that the cut will be relatively straight and perpendicular to the surface of the wood. Now the sawing is done, I am going to chisel out the form exactly to the paper line. This is to make sure that everything is symmetric and smooth before proceeding to the next cutting steps. The other side as well. And the part is ready for the next step. Here I have drawn lines that will determine how the part will look from the side. First I'm going to cut the front part in shape with the planer. I chiseled some wood away on the back side, so I don't ruin the edge by pulling out fibers with the planer. It is not possible to cut this part of the wooden block away with the planer. It needs to be chiseled out. With a small Japanese saw, I first cut 2 lines in the wood. That makes it easy to cut away the diagonal cuts sideways. Then I can cut away most of the wood with the grain and finish it off between the lines sideways. Then I'm using a scraper blade to make everything even more flat and leave the surface with a smooth finish. After the front and side shapes are cut out, it is time for filleting all the edges. I fillet them by first cutting a 45-degree chamfer and make it more round from there. I draw lines at an even space from the corner. The wood between the lines needs to be cut away. There will be a groove for rope all around the back end of the tool. It is more handy to connect the sawing lines before the chamfers are made. This is how it looked like after cutting the 45-degree chamfer. Now it is time to remove the newly created edges. Before proceeding to sandpaper, I first remove most of the edge with a scraper. On every side. And then sandpaper. I first sand it to its final shape with grit 60. With sometimes a little bit of scraping here and there to remove marks left by the chisel. Halfway with the sanding. The front and back sides still need to be done. Now there is only one thing that still needs to be done before finishing the sanding part. The rope groove needs to be cut out with a small chisel, and it needs to have more or less the same depth everywhere. At this moment I didn't have an idea on what kind of rope I would use, but I thought these dimensions should work. To finish the groove after chiseling it out, I ripped off a thin piece of sandpaper. The first step in fine sanding the part is sanding it with a grain with grit 100. Smooth. Then I used some Scotch-Brite, the scraper, and after that some steel wool to finish the surface. The wood cutting part from now on is ready. Then I made a short movie about the part and the block where it was born from, to post it as a short on YouTube. After all that sanding, it is now time for one of the best parts of a woodworking project. And that is finishing it and let it reveal its natural beauty. I applied 3 coats of Danish oil to it. I really spent way too much time on choosing the right rope and knot to finish the handle of the tool and give it a little bit more grip. I wanted to use natural material, but I only had some success with this black paracord. Then I came to the idea of looking for a nice shoelace instead of this cord. I went to the store in my city where I usually go for shoes and jeans, and the man gave me the perfect leather shoelace to tie around the tool. By the way, the tool I am using in this video to make the knot is also a sailmaking tool and will be featured in one of my next videos. Finished. Now let's check if the tool will do the job it is supposed to do. Looks good to me. Now let's see if it is easy to apply a lot of pressure with it. I will have to experience how the tool will do its job in future projects, but I have good hope. Alright, that was the video about how I made this seam rubber. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see my future videos and to see shorts of projects I'm working on almost every day.